Hi folks, Mikey here from Made by Mikey, and I just thought that I would shoot a little video since I was going to be changing the blade on this thing anyway. For anyone else out there that owns a pretty common item in most workshops, specifically a common brand, this is a Mastercraft 10-inch dual bevel compound miter saw. That's a lot of words, but those who have know. What I particularly like about this, just take a few seconds, is this is my main tool. I use this most of the time when I build pretty much anything. I specifically like that it has clip-in sides here that are level to the table and keep your materials across and that sort of thing. Other features, of course, which are what miter saws are all about, is that it's a dual action, so you can chop with it up to pieces that are 10 inches in width, and a little unscrewing here, you can also slice with it. So it's a great little product. This was brand new, obviously, when I bought it, right out of Canadian Tire, right out of the store. And that was, oh geez, I don't know, time is made of jello, probably about 2 years ago. This is the blade that came with it, and with this blade, which isn't, a $90 DeWalt blade or anything like that. It's the one that, right from the factory, that came with a saw. But what can I say? From this, I've literally created about... if I were to guess, and this is fairly accurate, about 100 vertical gardens, maybe more than a dozen bird houses, a whole bunch of custom frames and that sort of thing. But just the other day, since we're on the topic of custom frames, I happened to notice when I was cutting a piece that it's just starting to split the wood right on the edges. Not so smooth. I've been ripping wood on this for, as I say, for 2 years, and it's time to change the blade. So impressed by this was I, that I went ahead and bought another Mastercraft blade. And if memory serves, this is about a $40 blade. It's a 10-inch blade. There's more teeth on this, as you can see, very fine, because I have a lot of custom frames to make and that sort of thing. But enough talk. Talk is cheap. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move this a little closer so you can see it. Now, for those of you who have had miter saws before, generally it's pretty similar. There's only 2 screws that you need to remove. Actually, only one you need to remove and one you need to loosen, and that's it. Now, I'll be honest with you, full transparency, I watched a video myself, and this is the first time I've done this on this saw, on my baby here. So, here we go. As you can see, of course, first of all, safety third, unplug it, make sure it's unplugged, just cause, and mine certainly is, okay? So, before you do anything, unplug your saw. That is, I insist, okay? So, when you loosen it, you will see a screw right here, okay? It's kind of hidden as you change the angle, but it's right there. And also hidden, because you change the angle, there is a screw right here. See that guy? It just sort of shows up. So that one you don't need to take out entirely. You just need to loosen it because this metal bracket here is hooked into it. So you just loosen that and take it off. So that's what we're going to do. The other thing I want to show, just before we quickly get started here, is that, and all miter saws have this, usually in different locations and whatnot, but I'll lean this up so you can see it. This blue button right here, which you can press in and press out, it's on a spring loaded. It's a brake, just like the brakes on a car for the blade. The blade can easily turn right now, which even though it's unplugged, will obviously cut you if accidents can happen. So you push the brake here and locks it right up. So you're going to need to be pressing on that while you're doing your thing on the other side. So just be aware of where that is. And without further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to change the angle here so we can get a nice close look at what I'm doing. So let's unlock that. We'll raise that up like so. Now, the other thing that this features is right in the back here, right behind the nut that loosens it to make it go side to side. See this little thing sticking out? That's an Allen key. Comes with the product, obviously. And you're going to need that, as well as on the other side of the Allen key, there's a Phillips, which you're also going to need. Now, I've got my own stuff, so I'm not going to actually use this, but it's there for you to use. And it comes with the saw for obvious reasons. Here we go. So the first thing we got to do is take that little bad boy out. Now again, it's a Phillips. Turn, turn, turn. To everything. Turn, turn, turn. Okay. Kaboom. Set that aside. So now this here, this is a plate. Behind this, it's a plate that's hooked onto here. So I'm going to angle this so that you can actually see this little screw right in there. Same, oops, my bit fillet, same situation. But again, you don't need to take it out entirely. You just, my fingers are in the way, but you just give it a turn. You will see this plate come loose. You don't need to unscrew that. I recommend that you don't, because all of this is just gonna poof come loose. It's all spring loaded because, you know, of this. So once you loosen that, you just kind of grab the whole apparatus. Needs to be a bit looser here. Now you can't see from my angle, of course, but up here it's coming apart from the saw, which is what you want. A little wiggle wiggle, and that bad boy, of course, it's determined to make a fool of me, but that's okay. I'm making it even looser here. So a little wiggle, and she comes right off. And you just lay that down, you know, out of the way, like so. It's a little sloppy, but that's quite all right. Now remember that blue button on the other side, the brake? I'm going to press that because right now, as you can see, it is deadly because it still spins without a guard. Push the blue button in. Now if it doesn't push in at first, it just means it's like a transmission. It's between gears, I guess, so to speak. So just give this a wiggle until you hear it pop there. Now, of course, it'll still move a little bit, but that's cool. Now, while you're pressing that button, and I will say this, it takes quite a bit of force to do that. Now, if you have a socket wrench, a 1/2-inch socket wrench, that will fit around this hexagonal thing. But, lo and behold, here's our Allen key. It pops right into the middle of this hole, like so. Now, very important, keep in mind, the blade spins clockwise. So unlike traditional screws, normally it's, what's the saying? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. In order to unloosen it in a normal world, you would turn this way and it would do that. But not on this thing. You actually turn the opposite way. It's a bit of a bizarro world. The reason is, if it turns the traditional way, as this blade spins towards it, it would come loose, you know, immediately. So it's reverse. So instead of turning it this way, we're actually going to turn it this way. And it is tight. But again, this is the first time I've done this. So it's, you saw how much effort was put into that. Really not much. You can let go of the brake now. Turn, turn, turn. Like so. And off she comes. Okay, now it's a left-handed screw, which essentially means just what I said, that it's in reverse. This little plate pops right off. Boop. No force whatsoever. Okay, so there's your 3 pieces. Right there, there, and there. Okay. Put those aside. You're going to be needing your Allen key or your 1/2-inch socket wrench later. So now this just comes right off. Piece of cake. That is a well-loved blade. I'll tell you what, this has made a lot of stuff. There you go. And that is Mastercraft blade, 10-inch blade, and it's a general purpose blade, carbide tipped. That's great. Now I'm going to hold on to this, even though it's starting to, whatever. I can't do really fine custom framing work and stuff like that on it anymore because it's getting a little dull, but it's perfect for those situations for when you need to just rip wood and you're not doing like fine cabinetry or anything. So here's our new blade, which I suppose I should have opened in advance, so if you'll bear with me here for a second. I'm just cutting this package open. And I'm just cutting the top off it because, again, little recommendation, if you're going to hold on to your old blade, as I am, for the same purposes, just to have a rough blade that you can just rip wood out of, hold on to this if you can, and keep your old blade in it. Alright, so there's the old blade, there's the new packaging, like so, and just some advice, that's all. Especially if you have little kids around, or in my case, little kids on 4 furry legs, like Bilbo here, who loves to see everything that Daddy's up to. Bit of a tight fit getting it in there, but once it is in there, at least you know that you're safe. And there you go. The old blade is wrapped up. Piece of cake. And it's nice and flat. I put it in a shelf or a drawer. That's the end of that. So now, here's our new blade, nice and shiny. It certainly won't stay that way. And away we go. So, we're just going to give this a little brush because there's some work leavings on here. And this is the first time in over 2 years I've seen the innards of all of this. Yeah, bit of a joke, but not really. Make sure your teeth are facing the right way. Because, that could be a problem. For obvious reasons. Pops right on there, should stay as long as your saw is level. Okay, and we do everything we just did in reverse. Now this here isn't just a straight hole. It's got 2 flat sides on the top and bottom, as does your pin in the middle here. So find the flat sides, put it on. Don't worry about whether or not the middle pin protrudes from this disc. It's not supposed to. It's nice and flush. We take our center pin. Now again, normally we would be turning clockwise, but that's not at all the case. Not with this one. Bizarro world. Remember? We turn it in the traditionally loose direction. And I'm just going to give her a spin with the Allen key that came with this. Now again, if you have a 1/2 inch, if you have a 1/2 inch socket wrench, that'll work too. If I'm not pressing the brake, that'll just spin and spin and spin, and eventually this will come loose, probably relatively quickly. So it's important to press the brake. Wait until it locks in. There you go. So while pressing that in, then we're going to turn. So you're turning against your own hand is what you're doing. Tight is good. You don't have to be Superman with it. But tight is where it's at. And there's no way human hands are ever going to be able to take that off. Just as a degree of tightness, I guess. And now we do this, which I've never done before. This screw, which we didn't have to take out, we only had to loosen, is going to be the home for this little hook here, which hooks onto the screw. A little bit of wiggling and jiggling, but nothing too complicated. Kaboom. So we're going to go ahead and just put our finger here and press against the saw just to keep it in place while we tighten that up. In the proper direction, of course. We're out of bizarro world now. And back to righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So boom, boom, boom. And, of course, the other screw. So just line up the holes like so. I'm going to press this down a bit so you can actually see that hole. Righty-tighty. All the way in. Snug is good, you know. Snug. Nice and tight. Boom, boom, boom. And that's it. This all lines up. It doesn't come close to the blade. That's one thing you want to make sure of. I'm going to spin this so you can see what I'm talking about here. When you put it on, make sure, just push it up and down a few times, but make sure your blade is aligned center. It doesn't even come close to this, okay? That's it, folks. I'm going to, in the near future, be putting more of this stuff out there because I'm certainly not the only one in the country that has a Mastercraft 10-inch Mitre Saw. These are common tools, as I say, and, I certainly turn to YouTube to find out how to do little things like this. It, of course, is in your instruction manual as well, but, reading, looking at an artist's conception of what to do is obviously a lot different than seeing somebody actually do it. So, what can I say? The first time I've actually done this, and it's easier than any other miter saw that I've ever had, and I've had a few. So, this is it's a great little product, and happy building, folks. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, please leave them down below, and by all means, subscribe with my thanks. Take care now.